Well, earlier, my colleague Rachael Ruble was discussing the events that have unfolded over the past four weeks in the Middle East, and she was talking with the former Prime Minister of Malaysia. We can now show you the conversation with Mahathir Mohamad. It's an extended chat with RT, and he certainly doesn't hold back.
Dr. Mahathir, in a recent conversation on Israel's continued aggression and occupation of Palestine, you said that fighting for your own land, which has been stolen, is not terrorism because it is the struggle of people to regain their own country. What do you see as an acceptable resolution to this conflict?
I don't believe in wars and fighting and killing people. I believe in negotiation. Israel and Hamas, or rather the Palestinians, should sit down and negotiate a solution to this problem. It is quite obvious that Israel is doing things against international law, building settlement in other people's land, invading their land, killing their people. Hamas has not been able to talk to Israel, and they resorted to violence. And the Israeli action is that if you kill our people, we will kill more of your people. That is what is happening. We will out-terrorize you.
Hamas has been killing civilians, though. How does that fit into the concept of war for their stolen land? And is Hamas really willing to sit down and negotiate?
Israelis have been killing Palestinians all this while. They are citizens. They are not soldiers. They go to Jenin, for example, and shoot people. Even today, we see reports about them killing civilians. So how is Hamas going to distinguish between soldiers and civilians when they have no way of having a proper army with intelligence and all that to distinguish their targets? In any case, if the Israelis are killing the civilians, then Hamas, you cannot blame Hamas for doing the same.
Well, what do you think about Hamas's practice of placing ammunition depots in civilian infrastructure areas, as well as using hostages as human shields? Do you think that these actions by Hamas are justifiable by their liberation struggle?
They had to find out ways of avoiding being attacked. And one of the ways, of course, is to hide this thing in places where there are other people. In any case, Israel is intent upon destroying the whole of Gaza. Civilian, non-civilian, everything, hospitals, schools, all are being destroyed. Where is Hamas going to hide? Any place they hide would be attacked by the Israelis, whether they are civilians or hospitals or hotels or schools.
Many politicians have pointed to the Israeli blockade of Gaza as the root cause behind its economic underdevelopment. However, Hamas has serious corruption problems and has spent most of its resources preparing for war with Israel rather than improving the lives of local residents. What are your thoughts on that?
Hamas is not perfect, but if you look at countries, at governments all over the world, there is corruption. They are not perfect. So don't expect Hamas to be perfect. It's not even a formal government. It is a group of people intent upon regaining their own territories. So there may be corruption, but what is clear is that they have maintained their stand all this while, and they have tried to protect the territories belonging to them, and to try and regain territories that has been occupied by the Israelis.
We haven't seen much condemnation from the West towards what Israel is doing in Gaza, certainly not from America and Britain, which are Israel's biggest supporters. We have seen international condemnation from South America and other countries, and yourself included. But will condemnation be enough at this point? What do you think Israel's supporters need to do to compel an end to this conflict?
Israel can ignore world opinion. In the United Nations General Assembly, 120 countries asked Israel to stop killing Palestinians. But Israel is not bound by the decision of the General Assembly. They have to follow what is decided by the Security Council. And the Security Council did not support the decision made by the General Assembly. So it is the Security Council which is guilty. And it is guilty because they have these veto powers. Even if one of the veto powers, decide to ignore the decisions made by the General Assembly, that is accepted as their right. So these veto powers given to these 5 countries are being abused all the time.
What do you think is the benefit to Western countries in this conflict? Why do they continue to support Israel despite all the atrocities and war crimes it's committing in Gaza?
It is difficult to understand because these are the very people who talk about human rights and the thing, about morality. But now they know very well what is happening in Gaza. President Biden didn't even mention about the death of the Palestinians. He talked only about Hamas attacking Israel. But Hamas is attacking Israel has resulted in 1,400 people being killed. But now 9,000 people, 9,000 Palestinians have been killed. Why is it that America and Britain ignore this? I think it is because they are the ones who created the state of Israel. And now they want to protect the state that they created out of Palestinian land. What they did is wrong, was wrong. And what they are doing now is also wrong. They are supporting atrocities and breaches of international law by the Israelis because they created Israel, and they want to support Israel.
You're calling on countries around the world to condemn the U.S. for its support of Israel's actions. It's one thing to condemn Israel, but it's quite another to condemn the U.S. Do you believe that countries would be willing to sacrifice their relationship with America to support Palestine?
That is a problem. The thing is that Israel cannot behave the way it is behaving without American support. So basically, it is the U.S. which is also guilty of genocide, guilty of atrocities, because they condone whatever is being done by Israel. But of course, other countries, even Malaysia, have got trade relations with the U.S. We have to sustain that relation. But when things are, human rights are being ignored and the kind of atrocities committed is so terrible, we cannot just sit still and do nothing. We have to express our condemnation of America for supporting Israelis' atrocities against the Palestinians.
With Egyptian and Jordanian leaders refusing to accept refugees from Gaza, many are accusing the Arab League of inaction. Where is the Arab unity on the Palestinian issue? Does that no longer exist?
There are about 50 countries in the OIC. They don't always agree on things, and they believe in consensus, in everybody supporting any resolution. But to get 50 countries to agree is very difficult. Even the United Nations also, they cannot get everybody to agree. That is why the OIC is not able to even express an opinion.
In 2004, you said that Americans are very ignorant and don't know anything about the rest of the world, yet they are the ones who decide who will be the most powerful person in the world. Do you think that that has changed in 20 years? Has America remained in the same position on the international stage, in your opinion?
The average American does not know much about the rest of the world. Even when they play American football, they call it the World Series when they are only playing among themselves. It's not the World Series. But for the American, America is the world. So that they need to know that there are other countries, other opinions, other people, that this world has become small, and because we are now in contact with each other. So Americans must learn that what they do affects the rest of the world. And because they are a big power, very much used to military threats, sending warships here and there, the problem is that America should not act like a world policeman unless, of course, it understands there are other people in the world also with different values and acting differently.
I know that you prioritized Asian models of development over European or American models. Why, despite the fact that a number of countries in the global south initially tried to use Western models, did you immediately abandon them? And in retrospect, how do you assess your decision not to rely on Western ideas?
We did not abandon Western culture or Western values or Western system. We still sustain them. But we find that in the East, there are other things being done which has resulted in the countries like Japan, Korea, China, Taiwan, making tremendous progress. So we should use that as also as an additional model. We still believe in democracy, for example. Democracy is not an Eastern concept. We in the East, we believe in monarchies, in absolute rulers. But we find that democracy is good. So although it is a Western concept, we accept democracy, and we also accept values such as human rights and the like. So we have not abandoned the Western values, but in addition, we have also studied and appreciate as well as adopted many Eastern values.
You said that the U.S. has a reputation of not giving back the money lent to them or deposited with them, and also wondered why Malaysia should keep so much money as reserves in U.S. dollars. At the same time, we see today that many countries around the world are beginning to actively support the de-dollarization of their economies. Do you think this trend could lead to a significant decline in the role of the U.S. currency, and why? And how has the perception of the dollar been affected by unilateral U.S. sanctions and its policy in the Middle East?
A lot of people put their saving through buying American dollar bonds. In effect, they are lending money to America with the hope that they could earn a little interest on the money. And when they need the money, the U.S. should give it back to them. But we have seen in the case of Afghanistan, for example, when the government changed in Afghanistan, America did not want to give $20 billion that belong to Afghanistan. And this has happened with other countries as well. So that is something that people should learn, that if you keep money in American dollars, you are going to have problems getting back the money. That is the practice of America. At the same time, of course, we don't have more opportunities to invest in other stable currencies. Most currencies are unstable. We can invest in gold, but that's not enough gold to keep. So we are caught in this situation where the only so-called safe savings would be in the form of dollar bonds. But as you know, the dollar has also depreciated very much.